So I study neuropsychology and I study the left and right sides of the brain. And one of the fascinating things that this can help us with this who am I story is that the left side of the brain is particularly talented with confabulation. It's particularly talented with language. And so it's always, it's telling these stories. So when you're laying, trying to sleep, but you're laying awake, it's the one who's telling that story. It's the one who's saying, well, what if this happens tomorrow? What if this happens? And so the neuropsychology of it has been pretty insightful because it's pointing to certain areas of the brain that create these stories. And the biggest mistake we make is to confuse who we are with that story.
So what we're worried about is basically somebody else's culture's version of who we are. That's what we suffer with and wrestle with, as opposed to the artistic sense of who we are. Is that what you're going to say?
That's perfectly put. And when you get beyond the cultural self and you start playing around with the true, this is all bringing me back to a friend of mine, Jacob Norby. He just wrote this book, The Creative Cure. And what my favorite line from the entire book, he said that conformity is the opposite of creativity. And I think he was really onto something with that, because when we get through this first stage that we're trying to figure out who we are, and we think we've discovered it. So maybe I say, whoa, I'm an introvert, or I'm a professor, or I'm 54, or I'm a male, or, these are all the things that have been imposed on us. And there's not a whole lot of creativity with any of that, And so when we get beyond that cultural self, that's when we realize that all throughout human history, so if we look at all the insights and epiphanies that human beings have had, not a single person who has had a brilliant epiphany has any clue where it came from. It's just, these things, just, they're like, grace, or they're like some mystical experience, because that the story that so many of us typically relate to just has no clue where this true creativity is coming from.
So that would be something out of the blue, then, is what you're saying.
It's some, or we just say something came over me, or it's some kind of like we've come up with all kinds of stories to try to explain it, but in the end, it really is, it's a mystery. But when you accept that mystery, maybe that really is who I am, and I can't put it into words, and I can't articulate it very well. But that is really, I think, for a lot of people, that's that moment. There's like two paths, and they realize, like, I can kind of keep going down this one conformity path, and there's a lot of reward for that. In our culture, it's like if you play ball and you play by the rules, and you play the game of self nicely, there's all kinds of rewards for that. When you venture off to this other path and and think about how the mystics historically have been treated, I mean, when they kind of venture off of the path of conformity and they're really exploring who they really are, that's all stuff that's unknown. And maybe we've just talked about this before, but I think it's a really important part of the Arthurian legends. And so when you look at the Knights of the Round Table, they're all on this path of exploration. They're on this quest to find out who they
the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
Looking for the Holy Grail, yeah.
The Grail quest is we're all on the Grail quest.